We're lagging the nation on skills too, where we used to be the most cutting edge workforce around. We have not invested in ourselves to make sure that our people have the skills to get jobs where they can pay for their bills and raise their families. We've got to make those connections, and that comes from government. We've also got a lot of work to do on our environment. Now, whether it's infrastructure or the fact that we've got oil running underneath the Great Lakes, Michigan should be setting the standard in this world for water management, not looking as though we are laggards, and sure as heck not having a city that can't even turn on their faucets and drink their water. And this might not be the most bold idea, but I think we deserve a government that works.
Yeah.
To know that the people in state government are actually looking out for the people of this state. How about we hire an environmentalist at the head of DEQ instead of a BP lobbyist? How about the unemployment agency actually work for people instead of prosecute people wrongly? All right, you're clapping for my non-bold ideas, but they just kind of make sense, right? So I think, this is, 2018 represents an enormous opportunity for us. We know conventional wisdom has been turned on its head in this last election. But if you look at where we've been as a state, I think that we are primed for a big year in 2018. Yeah, well, let's clap for that. After 8 years of Republican control in Lansing and 2 years into a Trump administration that God only knows what we're going to really be looking at when this election comes around, we are going to be primed. But it's going to be on us to run the tables. We got to win the governor's race, we got to win the attorney general's race, we got to win the secretary of state's race, and take back the state house. So I'm in. I've never been more sure that now is the time to step in and be a part of solving problems. I cannot stand leaders who are going to politicize our problems for their own advantage. It's time to solve problems. It's time to make Michigan government work again. And it's time for Michigan to be a leader in this country again, not a laggard. So I would love to have your help. Here for? Do we have a few questions, or how do you want to do it? Yeah, I'm game for anything. Okay, let's do it. Let's open it up.
If you have a question, please raise your hand and wait for Gretchen to recognize you.
And I'll try to repeat it so everyone can hear. Yes. Oh, well, the first part of the question is almost always yes. Do I have an opinion? On Senator Debbie Stabenow voting for Rick Perry. Has that voting happened? Yeah, it has. And I'm not a fan of Rick Perry.
Good.
I was so glad to see everyone hold the line on Betsy DeVos. And I don't know that I would have voted for Rick Perry. So, can I get away with that as my answer? She wants to encourage you to call and ask why. All right. I still like the idea of cabinet members having expertise in a field. I don't know. Yes. Thank you. So a question about public health and the concerns about cuts that are coming, whether they're overt or they're going to be hidden cuts that we're going to deal with in Michigan because of it. So one of the things that, as we're building this platform, there are some obvious things that we need to work on that we know are not going to be fixed between now and 2018 that are going to be long-term needs for this state. There are also all of the potential problems that may happen between now and 2018 from a Trump administration, from a Snyder administration on their way out the door. Public health, there are so many concerns that I have going forward. A strong governor can lead the way when things are gone to pot at the national level. We're seeing that out of the state of Washington. We're seeing that out of the state of California. Governors who are digging in, doing the right thing, saying you're not going to militarize my police force for your unconstitutional immigration goals. So standing up to ensure that we are continuing and able to fund the things that we may see not funded out of DC. I'm really worried about this. I see the stuff about Russia is extremely scary and important, and we need to be engaging on that. But one of my fears too is that we are all so focused there that all this other ugliness is going to come from budget cuts that don't make it to the headlines. And so I think we've got to be vigilant. We have to fight. And when you see something like you're talking about with regard to immunizations and vaccines, we need to broadcast that. My biggest fear is in this new world we're living in that we start to get desensitized to it. It starts to get normalized. And that's why I think it's so great that we're here, but that's why we got to keep showing up. We got to keep fighting back. Because if we start to normalize and get desensitized to it, we're going to lose so many important battles along the way. And so I'm glad you raised it. I think that, as someone who's got a platform, we're really trying to figure out how do we use it to really promote things we care about right now. I'm not in office. I can't run a budget and make executive orders and decisions to accomplish this, but we can do a lot of things right now with the groups that are coming together. And so we started something called the Whitmer Action Movement, and we're always looking for things that we can get people organized and working on. And so when these things come up, we got to be real-time communicating, but also mobilizing. And I think that's a huge part of what the challenge is, but opportunity is too. So I'm with you on that issue for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. So I've been a host school teacher for 17 years and training education. So I think we can all agree with it. I've seen our progression the way I can say and I believe what I did. I grew up in the state thinking that that's education as well. My question is, what do you specifically plan to do to dismantle this lost machine and get our state back where it belongs, serving our students? It's untouchable where we come as a state in our education. I can't believe it. So I'm looking to you because I believe in you. I need specific plans. What is the plan to game plan? This is
Well, can we all thank him for being a public school teacher? At the risk of sounding like I'm pandering, you know where I come from, public school teachers. My daughter told me the other day that she wants to become a teacher. And it was a mix of pride and concern that I heard that. Honestly, because I know no one goes into teaching because they think it's going to be lucrative. You go into teaching because you love kids. You go into teaching because it's a calling. It is a profession. And we got to start treating our teachers and support staff throughout our education as professionals. And show you the respect that you deserve. You're building the generation of kids. And I think it's so important that, number one, we give you your 3%. Let's go with that as a start. But I also think, the consistent attacks on benefits, the demoralization of the profession, the taking away of supports within schools has had a devastating impact. And you know, not as many people are going into teaching because that's had this long-term, hangover, if you will. One of the things that a strong governor can do is you can't universally and unilaterally get rid of the DeVos family, but you can undo a lot of the bad policy that they promoted. And I think one of the things that starts with, Michigan, we lag the nation on so many really important metrics. One of them is, let's talk about charter schools. Now, charter schools are probably here to stay, and for some people, they've probably given a decent option for education. But by and large, they are not having any greater efficacy than our traditional public schools. And at the end of the day, the measurement that should matter is whether or not it's working, not whether or not someone's making money off of it. But let's talk about making money off of education. Charter schools in Michigan, 84% of them are for-profit. You want to talk about incentivizing behavior? That's incentivizing behavior to pull money out of education. They're the next highest state in the nation. What percentage of their charter schools are for-profit? 12%. That shows you how massively out of line we are in the state of Michigan, how bad our priorities, and we know why. We know who's driven that policy. A strong governor can change that. And Governor Snyder wanted to go through the legislature to change some of the charter school oversight in the city of Detroit. He didn't have to do that. He didn't want to take on the DeVosses. He could have done that unilaterally. But he wanted a scapegoat, and the Michigan House provided him an easy way to not ultimately do what he said he wanted to get done. Strong governor can do that unilaterally, can hold people accountable, and can ensure that chartering agencies are only able to charter to schools that are working, number one. Number two, you see legislature after legislature take money out of our categoricals and put them into pet projects. So there's a lot of money that should be going to at-risk students, that should be going to English language learners, that ultimately is being pulled out and put into legislative pet projects. Does the Van Andel Institute in Grand Rapids need money more than a kid who is trying to learn English as their second language? No. So a strong governor can veto $150 million like that and get it into schools and students and teachers in districts that really need the support the most. But we got more work to do than just those things. But I am a huge proponent of universal early childhood education.